down. Sanders again gained 11 on his first carry and gets outside for more. Another first down.
This former running back for the Detroit Lions possessed a unique blend of skills that left defenders scratching their heads and fans in awe. Known for his speed, agility, and seemingly magical ability to evade tackles, he was a force to be reckoned with on the football field. It often took a coordinated effort from multiple defenders just to bring him down. But it was one decision he made that completely shocked the world. This is the story of Barry Sanders. Barry David Sanders came into the world on July 16, 1968 in Wichita, Kansas, where he learned the value of hard work from an early age. His father, a roofer and carpenter, often took him along to job sites where they toiled under the scorching summer sun. Complaints were not tolerated in the Sanders household, as writer Mitch Albom once noted, painting a picture of a family that believed in putting in the effort without fuss. When Barry reached Wichita North High School in 1982, he naturally gravitated toward football, taking up the position of tailback for the team. However, his sophomore year didn't see him as a starter. That honor went to his brother Byron, who impressed on the field and earned a scholarship to Northwestern University. As a senior, Barry found himself shifted to the wing-back position, a move influenced by his coach's perception of his size and aversion to contact. It wasn't until the fourth game of the season that Barry was given the chance to shine as the starting tailback. In a breathtaking display of skill and determination, he rushed for an astonishing 274 yards and 4 touchdowns, leaving defenders grasping at thin air. His coach's initial doubts were quickly dispelled as Barry continued to rack up impressive numbers, culminating in a jaw-dropping 1,417 yards over the final 7 games of the season.
He rushed for at least 1,100 yards every year he played, and 6 times was a first-team All-Pro,
earning him accolades and attention from colleges across the country. Despite his stellar performance, Barry's small stature led many ground-based colleges to pass on him. Only a handful, including Emporia State University, Iowa State, Tulsa, and Oklahoma State University, OSU, extended scholarship offers. Despite initial reservations from his father, Barry ultimately chose OSU, a decision that would shape the course of his football career. Oklahoma State coach Pat Jones had quite the talent pool in his offensive backfield back in 1986. Alongside the arrival of Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas was gearing up for his junior year. Thomas, who later made a name for himself with the Buffalo Bills and the NFL, was a force to be reckoned with. In his freshman year, Sanders didn't see as much action as Thomas hogged most of the carries. Still, he managed to make his presence known, appearing in 8 games and notching up 325 yards on 74 attempts.
Sanders again gained 11 on his first carry and gets outside for more. Another first down. Barry Sanders with over 1,000 yards, but starting the day today, Christian Okoye going in Miami against the Dolphins in his final game.
Sanders also showcased his versatility as a kick returner, averaging a solid 23.7 yards per return. The following year in 1987, Sanders saw a bit more playing time, although he still played second fiddle to Thomas. However, opposing coaches were starting to take notice of Sanders' potential, realizing the threat he posed if given the chance to start. This became evident when even Oklahoma coach Barry Switzer expressed his concerns to his coaching staff after reviewing game film, acknowledging Sanders' prowess. Despite playing second fiddle, Sanders made the most of his opportunities, rushing for 603 yards and 9 touchdowns in 11 games during the 1987 season. The Cowboys ended the season with an impressive 10-2 record, capping it off with a victory over UTEP in the Sun Bowl. After the 87 season, Sanders stepped into the spotlight as the primary running back for Oklahoma State. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Sanders dominated the 1988 season, leaving defenders in his wake as he racked up an unprecedented 26-28 rushing yards and an eye-popping 37 touchdowns. His performances were marked by 5 consecutive 200-yard games and an incredible streak of 11 games with at least 2 touchdowns. He even opened 2 consecutive seasons with 100-yard kick returns.
For every thrill Sanders gave the audience, his most breathtaking move came when he walked off the stage.
Despite his incredible season, the Heisman Trophy initially seemed out of reach for Sanders, with the spotlight shining on quarterbacks Troy Aikman and Rodney Peete. However, he defied the odds and clinched the prestigious award, proving his worth as one of college football's greatest talents. In the Holiday Bowl against the University of Wyoming, Sanders further solidified his legacy with a dominant display, amassing 222 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns in a resounding 62-14 victory.
The place goes nuts. The Lions lose the game, but all anybody can remember was Barry Sanders. The greatest running show in the history of pro football had started right at that moment.
Sanders' collegiate career was nothing short of legendary. His records at OSU, including most rushing yards and touchdowns in a single season, still stand to this day. However, his journey didn't end there. Despite initial plans to return for his senior year, Sanders made the surprising decision to enter the NFL draft a year early. This decision set off a chain reaction in the draft, with the Detroit Lions ultimately selecting him with the 3rd overall pick in 1989. In his rookie year, despite missing the first 2 weeks of training camp, Sanders wasted no time making an impact for the Lions. He quickly established himself as a force to be reckoned with, rushing for 1,470 yards and 14 touchdowns.
Barry Sanders' touchdown is second of the day. There may have been a better runner, but I have never seen him.
Earning him the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. His humility and team-first attitude were evident when he declined the opportunity to chase the NFL rushing title in favor of giving his teammates more playing time during the final game of the season. Back in the 1950s, the Lions were at the top of their game in the NFL. They clinched 3 NFL championship victories and narrowly missed out on another. Even in the early 1960s, they were regulars in the playoff bowl for 3 straight years. But after that golden era, their postseason appearances became scarce. Despite having Barry Sanders in their backfield, they struggled to regain their former glory. In 1989 and 1990, they finished with lackluster 7, 9, and 6 10 records. However, Sanders made his mark, setting a team record for most yards in a season in '89 and following it up with impressive stats in 1990. Yet, hope flickered back to life in 1991, with Sanders leading the charge with his stellar performance, 1,548 rushing yards, an NFL best 16 touchdowns, and a remarkable 103.2 yards per game. The Lions finished the season with a stellar 12-4 record. They even clinched a playoff victory for the first time in nearly 3 decades, trouncing the Dallas Cowboys 38-6. With Sanders showcasing his talent in the backfield, Detroit's offense boasted players like Eric Kramer, Brett Perriman, Willie Green, and rookie Herman Moore. On the defensive end, Chris Spielman, Benny Blades, and Ray Crockett anchored the team. However, their playoff journey was cut short by a crushing defeat at the hands of the Washington Redskins, ending their season with a disappointing 41-10 loss. Over the next 4 years, Detroit made it to the playoffs 3 times. Unfortunately, they couldn't break past the wild card round on all 3 occasions, facing defeats against the Packers in 1993 and 1994, and the Philadelphia Eagles in 1995. During this time, the team saw some changes in its roster, with quarterbacks like Kramer, Andre Ware, Rodney Peete, Dave Krieg, and Scott Mitchell finding reliable targets in Moore, Green, Perriman, Aubrey Matthews, and Johnny Morton. Meanwhile, Sanders continued to showcase his talents on the field, running for impressive yardages each season. In 1992, he rushed for 1,352 yards and 9 touchdowns, followed by 1,115 yards and 3 touchdowns in 1993. His standout year came in 1994, where he dominated the league with 1,883 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. Even in 1995, he maintained his excellence with 1,500 yards and 11 scores. In 1996, following a disappointing 5-11 season, Detroit made changes, parting ways with Fontes and bringing in Bobby Ross as head coach for the 1997 season. That year, Sanders once again led the NFL in yardage, amassing 1,553 yards and 11 touchdowns, despite the team finishing 9-7 and losing in the wild card round to Tampa Bay. Sanders' performance in 1997 was nothing short of legendary. He became only the third running back in NFL history to surpass 2,000 yards in a single season, leading the league with 2,053 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns, with an impressive average of 128.3 yards per game. It was no surprise when he was crowned the NFL's MVP and Offensive Player of the Year at the end of the season. In 1998, Sanders continued his impressive streak, rushing for over 1,000 yards for the 10th consecutive year. Wrapping up the season with 1,491 yards and 4 touchdowns, Sanders showcased his enduring talent despite the Lions enduring a challenging 5-11 regular season. The following summer, Sanders sent shockwaves through the sports world when he announced his retirement from football. Many fans and pundits struggled to make sense of his decision.
Retiring at age 30, less than 1,500 yards short of the NFL's all-time rushing record.
Especially considering he was within striking distance of Walter Payton's NFL rushing record of 167.26 yards. Reflecting on his career, despite the short span of it, Sanders amassed an extraordinary 15269 rushing yards, the highest total in NFL history over a 10-year span, along with 352 receptions, 2921 receiving yards.
Got 2,000. There it is. The linemen, they're the ones who wanted the 2,000. Barry didn't talk about it.
And 109 touchdowns. His accolades speak volumes about his impact on the game.
It's hard to imagine being in that position to try to tackle this guy. And he's not a very big person, folks.
Rookie of the Year, NFL MVP, 2-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year, 4-time league leader in single-season rushing yards, 6-time first-team All-Pro, 4-time second-team All-Pro, and 10-time Pro Bowler. Sanders was also honored with selections to the NFL's 1990s All-Decade Team and 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more videos like this.